Good morning, everybody. Today is April 9th. Let's go with the games on April 8th. The season is coming to an close, so more and more teams have started tanking, basically. For the Wolves, they're not tanking, but they're resting all their guys. 120, 132, they lost to the Magic. And just looking at the minutes, right, like Joe Ingles started. Dante played 21 minutes. That's it. Naz Reid had a somewhat big game, 3 steals and 2 blocks, pretty good actually. And Kyle Anderson had 2 steals and 2 blocks. If Kyle Anderson starts, you're looking for some peripheral stats next game, right? Pay some attention to him. Jaden McDaniels plays his 20 minutes as well. Um, I really wouldn't stream. If the guy is coming off the bench, then probably not worth streaming. For the Magic, oh man, they got Franz Wagner back. 17 points and 1 3. It's obviously going to impact Bankero and Desmond Bain's usage a little bit. But, when everybody's healthy on the Magic, um, don't really expect Desmond Bain to have, the stretch he had. Still had 18 points here. Took 13 shots. Bankero next year, I'll be really careful drafting this guy. When everybody's healthy, he's not going to really get his 30 points and 12 rebounds. And of course, we know his efficiency. And he's getting kind of being talked about a lot. Now more and more people are starting to realize, like, hey, even though he put up some good big numbers, averaging over 25 points a couple of seasons, I don't know how many points he averaged. The numbers look good, but he's actually not that good. For such a big guy, he's shooting like low 40s. He had a good game here, 8 for 11. And they got the win too. So the next one is the Atlanta Hawks and Cavs. This could be a potential first round matchup. The Atlanta Hawks, they're coming. I mean, they're a young team. Give them another year or two. Give Jalen Johnson another year. They're gonna be pretty. They're gonna be a pretty good team in the East. Jalen Johnson, not the best game. Dyson Daniels had 7 rebounds, 6 is a very well-rounded game. Yeah, all their starters are really just killing it. Nikhil Alexander-Walker, 25 points, 4 threes, 2 steals. What else do you need to say about this man? He's been putting up top 50 values all season. And in fantasy, when this guy was on the New Orleans Pelicans, right, I thought of him as just a guy that come in, score 30, could pop off with 30 points. But now, on this team this year, he's getting a lot of defensive stats, right? He's getting some assists and he's hitting a lot of threes. That really helped his fantasy value. And he took the most shots on the team here as well, 19 shots. CJ had 2 steals and 2 blocks, also good. I know Kungu had 18 points, but he was a minus 33. So their starters got really destroyed this game. And Kuminga off the bench had 24 points, but they're not giving Kuminga consistent minutes. So next year, if they have the same roster, not somebody that I'm gonna, not even in the last round, because he just doesn't get minutes. People get hurt, then you pick him up. For the Cavs, great win. Harden's really struggled, 6 for 23. Maybe the finger thing is, he decided not to do the surgery. Of course, need to play this one out. How much that impact he's shooting. 31 points from Donovan Mitchell, really, really efficient. Good game. And Mobley, 19 rebounds and 3 blocks is amazing. But again, he goes 6 for 10. Next year, if you have this guy, we really got to think about punting free throws. And this is 3-4 seasons now. He hasn't really improved his free throws. So don't really expect his free throws to change over the summer. Jarrett Allen had 8 rebounds and 2 steals. Yeah, the Cavs team, they got a lot of good players on this team. Very well-rounded team, pretty deep. The next game is, we got Kate Cunningham back. I never really understood, he collapsed long. You can just come back this quickly, I guess. With all the help that he get, he's trying to get back to the court. So that, good for him. And of course, the Bucks have nothing to play for, and they're still playing Ryan Rollins, which is great. This guy Jane, if you need some points and threes and some. He's actually very well rounded in fantasy, so I will pick him up, stream him. As we get to the final matchup, coming down the last few days. AJ Green had 4 threes. That's great. Um, probably one of the better 3 point streamers right now. He's just getting a lot of minutes. For Detroit, Duncan Robinson. Speaking of 3 point streamers, he had 4 threes. Of course, he might have played a few more minutes. Kate Cunningham had 10 assists, 13, first game back, and Jalen Duren has had a big season. So if you drafted Jalen Duren, seventh round, I would, because yes, he had a big year, a lot of points and rebounds, and good field goal. But after that, doesn't get a lot of defensive stats, right? As a big, that's really really important. If you're big, you know, if you there's a huge difference if you're averaging like 2.5 blocks versus one. Like your value, if Jalen Duren is averaging 2.5 blocks, he could be a top 20 player. But now it's more like top 50. So, you jump a lot in the rankings if you can block 2.5 shots. But doesn't really. He's just not a guy that gets a lot of block shots. So next year, maybe a lot of people look at his points and rebounds. They might chase, draft him super early in the third round. Let's not do that for next year. All-Star Thompson had 2 steals and 2 blocks. That's very good. But the problem with him is just inconsistency. Minutes inconsistent, and then from game to game, it's hard to get consistent defensive stats. And with Kate Cunningham back, Jenkins now came off the bench, played 20 minutes, still had 6 assists. Now we know what he could do, right? So maybe you get some confidence, have a few big games in the playoffs. The next one is Denver. They beat the Grizzlies. Yeah, no surprise. Oh man, the Denver Nuggets, they won 10 in a row. So they're getting their guys back. They are an extremely dangerous team in the playoffs. Like even when they play OKC last year, right? They went through 7 games versus OKC, and you could say like, yeah, all the young guys are getting better. I don't know how much OKC got better, but yeah, like last year, Aaron Gordon was hurt. Michael Porter Jr. playing with one shoulder, right? Denver this year, you could argue they got a little bit deeper. Right? They lost Michael Porter Jr., but they got Cam Johnson, who's not having a great year. But things could change. One series, like if some of those three-point guys get hot, like they could. It's not impossible. When you have Jokic, it's not impossible to beat anybody. So, yeah. Of course, the Grizzlies, they have nothing to play for. CJ Coward had 27 points. That's good, but I want, not a lot of defense being played. And now you start seeing guys without a picture on NBA.com. Right? They're playing these guys. So Grizzlies could be in a tough situation next year. If let's say Ja Morant is out, like who is gonna be the star? What's gonna be the starting lineup? That may be Walter Clayton Jr. Right? He could come in. They want to develop him. Somebody that we can draft in the later rounds. But there's just a lot of unknowns, I think, for Grizzlies next year, what kind of rosters they might have. For Jokic, the game is so easy when Jokic take only 8 shots. 16 rebounds, 10 assists, 2 steals, and 14 points. He just controls the game. Only very few guys can do it. LeBron, of course. And this, I would argue, this is what separates Jokic, LeBron, like these guys. And, Luka also controls the game very well, at least on the offensive end. We're not talking about defense. Versus, like a KD and, Kawhi to some extent. KD and Kawhi, they can get their bucket, they can get their shots, but they don't control the game like these guys. Aaron Gordon, Christian Brown, Cameron Johnson, these guys obviously need to play huge roles in the playoffs. Jamal Murray had a decent game as well. Moving on to the next game, we have the Trailblazers. They were making some noise beginning of the season now, right? Danny Advia has had a big season overall, although, he got hurt. This game, 29 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. Pretty good stuff. Jrue Holiday overall had a good year as well. They're starting him, giving him big minutes. Scoot Henderson, if he starts next game, you're looking for some points and assists. You could stream him. And Donovan, again, he's really popping off at the right time in the last couple of weeks. Another good game, but the minutes is a little bit low. 28 minutes, but it doesn't matter. He's putting up numbers under 30 minutes. 11 rebounds, still at 3 blocks. and Robert Williams came off the bench. Not the didn't really do much, but you could always stream him for some defensive stats. For the Spurs, no Wemby. Spurs are just a great team. Of course, Wemby is playing at the MVP level, but this year without Wemby, they're winning a lot of games. De'Aaron Fox stepped up. He's still got it. It just 25 points, 7 assists, 3 steals, and 3 threes. Pretty good. They got a lot of good guys. Dylan Harper, 13 points, 2 steals, and 2 blocks. Really, really good guard, and he's just a rookie. Devin Vassell, not too bad as well, and then Castle didn't even play. They got a pretty easy win at home. Move on to the next one, the Oklahoma City Thunder. Yeah, this one not really surprised. OKC, they beat the Clippers 128-110. Not much to talk about. Chet Holmgren absolutely popped off with 14 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and block. But if it's the playoffs in big games, Chet Holmgren doesn't really do much offensively. Most of his value is coming on the defensive end, and of course he can stretch the floor a little bit too. Shea, 20 points, 11 assists. He just gotta make sure he get his 20 points, keep the streak going. And Jalen Williams had 6 rebounds, 6 assists, so not bad. For the Clippers, Kawhi, not the best game. Brook Lopez had 16 points and 3 threes. Yeah, I would keep Collins and Benedict Mathurin, whatever the last few games are, if you're looking for, free throws and points from Mathurin and blocks and threes, because these guys are still getting 30 minutes. Last game of the night, the Mavericks, they lost to Phoenix 107. And Cooper Fleck is up and down. 4 for 18 here, 11 rebounds. He's going to continue getting better. And then for Phoenix, Devin Booker is playing really well at the right time. 37 points, 2 threes. That's kind of what we expected from Devin Booker this year. But yeah, the first 4 months of the season was really brutal. Jalen Green got hurt, but they got Dylan Brooks back. So if you need points, pick up Dylan Brooks in the last few days. And that's it, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.